Hello and welcome to Sandbox Creations. Today, we are going to look at 10 books that you must read before graduating from high school. Books have a large impact on how our minds develop, and it imparts the readers with ability to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. Over the years, there have been many books that have inspired us to change for the better. This list features books that I feel are a must-read before you graduate from high school. These are what I would call the minimum requirements to prepare us for the future. I would also like to request all of you who are watching to add your book recommendations to the comments and why they are must-read books. I have also added a link to Amazon for each of the book in the description, in case you feel inspired to read the book as a result of watching this video. If you like the video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I have also added a link to my Patreon account and Teespring storefront. Please consider donating some money or buying some merchandise to support this channel. Let's begin. At number 10 is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain was published in 1876. The novel is about a young boy named Tom growing up along the Mississippi River in the 1840s in the fictional town of St. Petersburg, which is inspired by Hannibal, Missouri, where the author lived as a boy. In the novel, Tom has several adventures, often with his friend Huckleberry Finn. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is the sequel to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It was first published in the UK in December 1884 and in the United States in February 1885. The novel is much more serious compared to its prequel, but there are still many funny moments. However, the plot involves a boy's attempt to escape severe family dysfunction and the moral implications of his taking an escaped slave as a companion on his adventure down the Mississippi River. Also, the N-word is used quite often in the novel, which might cause discomfort to some readers. Next on the list, at number 9 is A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol in Prose, being a ghost story of Christmas, widely known as A Christmas Carol, is a novel by Charles Dickens. It was published in London by Chapman and Hall in 1843. This novel is about Ebenezer Scrooge, an elderly miser who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner Jacob Marley and the spirits of Christmas past, present and future on a cold Christmas Eve. Next on the list, at number 8 is The Iliad and Odyssey. The Iliad is an ancient Greek epic poem traditionally attributed to the blind poet Homer. Set during the Trojan War, the 10-year siege of the city of Troy by a coalition of Greek states, it tells of the battles and events during the weeks of a quarrel between King Agamemnon and the warrior Achilles. The Odyssey is a sequel to the Iliad, detailing the adventures of Odysseus after the Trojan War during his journey to return to his home and family. The Odyssey also shows human interactions with gods, often bringing up the questions of pride, righteousness and wrongdoing in addition to the ideas of patience and faithfulness. Next on the list, at number 7 is Hamlet. The tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, famously shortened to Hamlet, is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare sometime between 1599 and 1602. It is set in Denmark and the play depicts Prince Hamlet and his revenge against his uncle, Claudius, who had murdered Hamlet's father in order to seize the throne and marry Hamlet's mother. Next on the list, at number 6 is Gullivers Travels. Gullivers Travels was published by Benjamin Mott on 28 October 1726. It was originally entitled Travels into Several Remote Nations of the World. In 4 parts by Lemuel Gulliver, first a surgeon, and then a captain of several ships. It was written by Jonathan Swift, and the book follows the adventures of Lemuel Gulliver as he tries to reach home after being shipwrecked at Lilliput. Next on the list, at number 5 is The Harry Potter series. The Harry Potter series comprises of 7 books written by J.K. Rowling and published by Bloomsbury Publishing. The first book was published in 1997 and the last book in 2007. The books followed the adventures of a young orphan wizard named Harry Potter and his friends Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, the students of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, over the course of 7 years. The popularity of the books created a series of 8 movies, which were also quite successful. Next on the list, at number 4 is Treasure Island. Treasure Island is a novel written by Robert Louis Stevenson. It was published by Castle & Co. in 1882 and is the reason behind most the clichés regarding pirates, such as treasure maps marked with an X, schooners, the black spot, tropical islands, and one-legged seamen bearing parrots on their shoulders. The novel follows the adventures of a young boy named Jim Hawkins, who finds a treasure map after the death of an old sea captain named Billy Bones. Next on the list, at number 3 is Frankenstein. The novel by Mary Shelley is written in the form of a frame story that starts with Captain Robert Walton writing letters to his sister. It takes place at an unspecified time in the 18th century. In the story following the letters by Walton, it is revealed that Victor Frankenstein creates a monster in an unorthodox experiment, which brought tragedy to his life. Next on the list, at number 2 is The Lord of the Rings Trilogy and The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit was published by George Allen and Unwin in 1937. It is set within Tolkien's fictional universe and follows the quest of home-loving Bilbo Baggins, the titular Hobbit, to win a share of the treasure guarded by Smaug the dragon. The Lord of the Rings trilogy comprises of the books, The Fellowship of the Ring, which was published in the 29th of July 1954, The Two Towers in the 11th of November 1954 and The Return of the King in the 20th of October 1955. The title of the series refers to the story's main antagonist, the Dark Lord Sauron, who had in an earlier age created the One Ring to rule the other rings of power as the ultimate weapon in his campaign to conquer and rule all of Middle-earth. Finally, at number 1 is the book that I feel is the most important of all, The Diary of a Young Girl. The Diary of a Young Girl was published in English in 1952. This is different from a typical book as it's the true account of Anne Frank during the Holocaust. Anne's diary begins on her 13th birthday and ends shortly after her 15th, and it details her life during this period and what she and her family had gone through during the brutal circumstances of the Holocaust. There are a lot of books like Pride and Prejudice, Romeo and Juliet, Les Miserables, 1984 etc. that are not in the list. But as I said in the beginning, these are the minimum requirements, so please go through the comments to find even more book suggestions.